listening to the new episode of In Love with the Process. How are you? What's new? I am sitting here recording on a sweltering hot day in August here in Boston. But I'm not going to let that distract me because today's episode is really great. I mean, it marks our 20th episode. I never thought I'd do this many, but you guys really seem to like it. So why not? I'll just keep doing it. I'll keep doing it until you tell me not to. How's that sound? I just want to take a minute to thank all of our new followers on Instagram. If you haven't done it yet, follow In Love with the Process Pod. So that's In Love with the Process Pod. I've been using the account to curate a great collection of photography, concept art, and behind the scenes stuff from like big film sets. I mean, basically it's an overall appreciation for everything that inspires me. Also, I've been getting fantastic responses from you guys on the episode with photographer Steve Geralt and my latest episode with my mom, which is super cool to hear that you guys like that one. I'm really proud of a lot of the stuff she said on that show, and I think it's surprisingly one of the most heartfelt episodes that I've done yet, so that's cool, right? I'm always looking for new ideas, so if you guys have an idea for a guest, if you guys have specific things you want to hear me talk about, the easiest way to get in touch with me is through the Instagram account. So if you follow In Love with the Process Pod, you can leave me a message. You can comment on any of my posts. Give me some ideas, guys. I just heard yesterday while doing a live session there that some folks want to hear about film distribution. So I'll see what I can do about that and see who we can get on the show. I've got about 5 episodes planned right now that are ranging the gamut for guests, so stick around. I think it should be an interesting couple of weeks. Anyway, let's get to it. Today is going to be a good one, guys. Some of you may know that myself and my business partner Ian McFarland were directing music videos for years, and for some really big acts. Bands like Killswitch Engage, Meshuggah, and Fear Factory. If you go back and listen to episode 3, there's a long interview with Killswitch Engage frontman Jesse Leach. And there we talk about how music videos are actually made in real life and how ideas are pitched to bands. As you can probably guess, the competition was and is really severe. Sometimes we'd get a gig, but oftentimes we'd be outbid by today's guest. That's right. Today I talked with one of our biggest competitors from back in the day. He was a tough man to beat, priding himself on filming well over 1,000 music videos for some really huge acts. Okay, so I'm talking about T.I., Snoop Dogg, Busta Rymes, Guns N' Roses, Fall Out Boy, Ja Rule. Jesus Christ, the list goes fucking on and on. Now, at the time when we were losing these gigs, we wanted to know more about who this music video machine was. We had heard rumors from other bands, label reps, and crew members that had been on his sets. Whisperings about a man called Rage. Now, of course, my first response is, Rage? What do you mean Rage? Is he like a maniac or something? Is he crazy on sets? Well, we'll find out today. I've only had brief Twitter conversations with this dude, and I've been dying to talk with this guy on the phone. The infamous Dale RAGE Resteghini. It's inspiring what a force of nature he is, and I hope that we'll get some insight in how he started, how he produces so many damn videos, and more importantly, where the rage comes from. This is gonna be a good one, guys, so you know the deal. Grab those noise-canceling headphones, drown out that crazy person on the bus, sit back and enjoy the new episode of In Love with the Process. So, hey Dale, thanks for being on the show. Really appreciate you coming on to talk with me, man.
Oh, good, brother. I appreciate it.
So we were chatting earlier about how a lot of directors don't communicate, and like a lot of directors feel like they're competition and they're kind of either afraid to talk with each other. And I think that sort of spans across the business, whether you're talking about photography or directing. And I think it's really a huge mistake. I think it's a great thing to communicate with folks that you're competing with. Because you know what, honestly, half the time I feel like a job goes to the person that it's perfect for. It's not necessarily anything to be pissed off at each other about. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, there's two schools of thought. I mean, I have this talking point quite a bit with people because I'm from Boston, which is a sports town, and because I grew up in a very competitive, town, and everything is Red Sox, Bruins, Celtics. Like I just have this competitive thing in me, and because I've always been artistic, and always been competitive in sports. Most of my experience has been less about this being an art form than it has been sort of like this all out combat with people. And in a much different time, a long time ago, Darren Doan, who is somebody who was at the forefront of doing hardcore metal videos.
Yes, I remember.
I used to have these. Back when the internet was really young, we would always be pit against each other, and we had a lot of beef. And then his protege at the time, Shane Drake, and I ended up having beefs. And we're all friends now, but it was and even Lex Hallaby. It was one of these things where we've all become friends, and we've all worked with a lot of the same artists. And but that was a different time when it was only 3 or 4 or 5, maybe 6 directors going up for a job, because it was a different business model when labels controlled what went into stores and what went on TV and what videos were done. There was a schedule to everything. Now it's an all out ocean of just chaos and pandemonium, and everybody's releasing things at a million times, and there's barely any budget by comparison to what it used to be. So, but having said that, some of the OGs, I'm not talking about the OGs before us, but we are now regarded as old school gangsters in this business. A lot of us have such a solid foundation and a lot of relationships with executives, with managers, with agents, with bands. They don't want to deal with all the unknown variables of who the latest Johnny come or Jenny come lately are. They want to just deal with, I worked with Ian, I worked with Rage, I worked with Darren, I worked with whoever, and just want to get the job done. This is what we have. This is what our schedule, and can you do it? Yes or no, and move on.
Exactly, man. Exactly. And we're going to get into all that sort of stuff, but I just want to sort of get to the beginning of this and answer whatever you feel like, man. If there's anything you don't want to talk about, no big deal. But I don't know that much about you. And when I first was told about you, I think I was told about you from a crew member that I worked on that may have worked on one of your sets. And they're like, yeah, we work for this dude named Rage. And I was like, who's Rage? I had no idea, man. And I started to do the research. And I found out that, like you said, you are from Boston, which is like, oh, cool. It's like another Boston boy. But then you have Rage Nation, you have all this stuff. Where does Rage come from? Like, where does that originate from? So
going back to 1996 or 7, when I was just established myself as a guy who's going to be a writer and director. Back before the .com hunt became such a thing, I wanted to have my company a company name that sort of defined. I kind of felt like my life up until that point. It felt like I was always in a rage against something, and I felt like Raging Nation, like just something that kind of stood out. And this is before Rough Nation, before Rock Nation, before much of the nations. It was Raging Nation, and I ended up going to get the .com, and that became sort of just my brand. This is before I had directed my first film, before I had directed. And I didn't do my first music video until 2003, which was for Hatebreed, appropriately titled Perseverance. But going back to Raging Nation, I wanted a name that sort of just stood out as like this defiant but progressive sort of like vibe, and in no way did that company name was it intended to become sort of a moniker or nickname for me. That came from literally after I'd already doing like 200 or so rock and metal videos before I started to segue into hip hop, and I had already done a few hip hop videos. My name that appeared on MTV and BET was always Dale Resteghini, and then Dale RAGE Resteghini. But the name Rage came from at a very pivotal moment when I had already had some successes in hip hop with Jim Jones, Dipset, Mims, and some other people. I was tapped to do a video for a then unknown but exploding new artist named Soulja Boy. And he had a song called Crank That, which to this day, that video that we ended up doing is regarded as having the widest reach of any video at any time, even bigger than Beyonce or Michael Jackson or Lady Gaga. There's this amazing site called Visible Measures that tracks all that stuff, algorithms and all that stuff. And so that video was given to me awarded to me by a manager named Smurf, Michael Crooms, who was known for doing Yin Yang Twins and a bunch of other huge iconic Southern artists. And even though Brian Barber wanted to do it and Hype Williams wanted to do it and all these other A-list directors wanted to do it, I was just coming into my own in hip hop after nailing some big videos. And he was referred to me by somebody that did radio for E1 Koch. And he said, met with me down in Atlanta. I was down in Atlanta doing a video. He said, you know what? I'm going to have you do this video because it needs just a different thing that we're used to having down here. And he goes, but do me a favor. I heard that somebody called you Rage on set. And it's kind of funny because how I got that unofficial nickname was I was doing an Unearth video. How you go from Soulja Boy to Unearth. So I was doing an Unearth video in Harlem, of all places, at 2:00 in the morning underneath this bridge. And Paul Conroy, who was managing at the time, they had $6,000. I was shooting it on film. My DP was this is 2004, 2003, 2004. It was for a song called The Great Dividers. This is back when things are still done on film. This is before any HD, Pro Cinema HD, before 24p. Yep. Cliff Charles is my DP. Cliff Charles now does that TV show Cloak and Dagger. He also won the Levy's book for Spike Lee. He's done a million things. So I was doing the video, and back then on a $4,000 budget, whatever it was 5 rolls of 35. There was no money for monitor. There was no money for megaphone. No money for anything except just to film the camera and a couple of highway construction lights that I rented for like $200 a piece, and I had 2 of them. So I was always screaming, and this is before I even realized there was a thing called drum pads. So when you're filming bands and the drummer's just wailing away on the cymbals and the skins, it creates so much noise. It's so hard for the rest of the band to stay in time. Yeah, if not impossible, and it's always caused me to scream. So people interpreted me screaming on set as somebody who was very angry, when in fact I'm just trying to give some good direction. And that's where the name Rage comes from. So he had heard that from D that I had this nickname called Rage. And he said, if I give you this video, I don't want you to go by Dale Resteghini. I want you to go by Rage. And I said that, you know what, that's fine with me, because I would go to award shows and run into people like T-Pain and Snoop, and they'd be like, well, yeah, we saw your video, but what's your name? Because my name is Dale Resteghini, there's just too many syllables that people get lost. They liked hype, they liked boom, they liked X, they liked, one syllable names. And so I said, you know what, I'll go with Rage. And Rage ended up becoming a pretty good brand decision because for the most part, it worked to my advantage where I just, Rage, let's get a Rage video, call Rage. So it worked to my advantage to a very, very large degree. And I had an amazing run at that time when budgets were still what they were. But then, there were some hipsters and there were some real soft commissioners that were like, oh, Rage, we heard about him. He's hard to work with. And, Rage. I'm like, all right, this is ridiculous. But for the most part, it was pretty amazing. And one final funny story. I was doing one of my first ever big videos in London for a group called N-Dubs. And they sent this very contrite, small, petite girl to pick me up to receive me from the airport. When I was walking out off the plane, and he was holding up this sign that said Rage. and she said people were looking at me like they expected to see some giant come out of the tunnel, and no, just me. So I said, no, my name's Dale, but Rage is fine. So there you go.
What a great backstory, man. I had no idea. I mean,
yeah. And some people, most people want to, in life, they just want to come to a conclusion. So when people meet me or they hear about me, and when I'm dealing with business people, they do want to be called Dale or Rage. I'm like, whatever's easier for you, whatever's best for you in terms of the kind of business we're going to be dealing with. Dale is fine, Rage is fine, whatever. It's not like there's this tattoo across my head or says I'm Rage and call me Rage, and just. So that's the backstory.
Well, that's great, man. Thank you for getting into it, because I had no idea. So I was just doing a little research on you in general, because I like to do that before I do the shows. And it said that you got started working on film sets, right? Were you working, I think you listed something like you were working for Roland Emmerich and stuff like that. How did you actually get into film? Was it just picking up a camera and doing music videos?
So that would be, I guess, if there was a really soft and genteel PR version of my life, I guess that would be one way to start. But basically, starting from less than zero, having gotten arrested somewhere between 40 and 50 times between the ages of 16 and 19.
Jesus, what were you like, robbing banks?
Yeah. Well, listen, and up until the age of 20, 22, 23, I ended up spending about almost 4 years behind bars, state, federal, 7 different states. So basically, I was on a crash course of just like all things, chaos and wreckage, for the first 20 years of my life. And I was always autistic, always a good kid, just doing, screwed up shit. So I ended up on the last time I ever got arrested, I was looking at 6 years, right? So check this out, 6 years. I ended up only getting six months because that year and a half I was waiting for sentencing and whatnot, I spent my time between Boston and New York working on every set I could work on, from Godzilla, which was Roland Emmerich's film, to The Crucible, where I was working both as a production assistant and as a background actor, hanging out with Winona Ryder and Daniel Day-Lewis, having a conversation with them, and even the director Nicholas Heitner, and also on Celtic Pride with Dan Aykroyd and that whole squad, and then going back to New York City and working on more films, even working on The Devil's Advocate and even Donnie Brasco, where I was a stand-in for the strip club owner or manager that was selling the Fugazi or the alleged Fugazi to Pacino. The actor was late, so I was a stand-in, and for like an hour and a half, I was literally had my throat grabbed by Johnny Depp and with Al Pacino and Mike Newell, the director, who was no longer with us, standing over me, and I'm like, wow, this is like I'm being choked by Johnny Depp and Al Pacino staring at me for like an hour and a half, and like I get so many little, and I was at that same time I was a stand-in for John Bon Jovi's video for Walking at Chelsea for John Bon Jovi. With Mark Pellington, who was a director, where they locked down the entire of Times Square to having conversations with Alfonso Cuarón on Great Expectations. To having a speaking line with Harrison Ford and Sabrina. Just all these. I've had these. So I started as an actor first, so let me go back even further. So after all the jail and chaos stuff, I was a male stripper in Boston at a place called
right. I heard about this. So that's true. I thought that was a rumor.
Yeah. No, at the Mail and Counter show at the Palace in Saugus. I became a stripper because I was like, after I had spent time locked up in Florida, I came back and I was buff. I was working out. I learned how to play spades and dominoes, all the jailhouse shit. So I was like, and I heard one day I was actually working for the town of Framingham for the highway department and the trash department. And I was like, and I heard an audition for the Mail and Counter, be a male stripper. I was like, why not? So I went, and I think I remember. So this is real history. So I think the song I danced to for my audition for the Mail and Counter stripper was In Emotions song for what was In Emotions big hit? Obsession. So all that led me to then becoming an actor, taking acting classes from Colin J. Pickman and Angela Perry, and all the Boston roots, and that led me to moving to New York City, and then that led me to doing the New York City thing, and then between getting a little bit in trouble and balancing that out with leaving that behind, and then starting my career as a filmmaker. The last time I was incarcerated, I found a book. So this is a really good important story. And
okay.
So I was incarcerated, and I in this particular federal facility there was basically no books in the law library. There were just like one row of books, and of the books I saw, it was thick. It stood out and it says "The Kid Stays in the Picture." Are you familiar with that book?
No, I don't know it.
It's a life story about Robert Evans. Robert Evans became a legendary producer of films like The Godfather and Apocalypse Now
Yep.
and Love Story. This guy's story, he was just a kid in New York City growing up with Dick Van Patten. And his parents owned the Eva Picone clothing line. But that had little to do with his life, as he left New York City at a young age to be an actor in L.A. He's a failed actor, did a couple of small parts here and there, but he ended up running Paramount Studios, and he's best known for quoting the term of getting your "fuck you" money in any deal. It's an amazing story, and there was a documentary that was done by him by a local Boston woman. You will know her name too. Her name's escaping me, but she's a Boston woman that did it. I turned the book into a documentary, and the documentary was cool, but it didn't do the book anywhere near the justice. The stories, the icons that were involved, it's an amazing. I said, wow, this guy basically ended up running Paramount Studios from nothing. And a lot of the stories, like, wow, he basically was an underdog. So that inspired me while I was still incarcerated at that point in time to write my first script called Colors of Rage on an old school typewriter, page by page. And I ended up coming out and ended up making that film. I just wanted to act in it and write it, but I couldn't find anybody to direct it, and there was no money. So I ended up making it for like $30,000 or $40,000 and sold it to Univix Entertainment for $235,000. Had Redman in it, Queen Pen in it, some other people in it. So it was from there I decided. Sabine Hoffman was my editor. Sabine Hoffman was best known at that point in time for cutting Hurricane Streets for Morgan J. Freeman. She's a German. She's German, but now she cuts a lot of Rebecca Miller stuff, who's Arthur Miller's daughter. Very, very well-known, respected editor. And she said, listen, Dale, I'm friends with my Gary Winnick, who's not with us anymore, and some other people. And I feel like you're so talented, and I love what you've done. Let's make some more films here. And she wanted to bring me into, like, it was Green Street Films and Open City Films. And this was back when Good Machine was there. Like totally, when I would run into New York City and run into people like Jim Jarmusch or Britta Benini, like a New York City indie film scene. But at that point in time, I was reading about and meeting guys like Brett Ratner and Steve Carr, who were doing a lot of Def Jam stuff, literally music videos with Method Man, Redman, and all the big artists at that point in time, and going from music videos to films, like to Russia. I'm like, whoa, I got to get on this band. This is a bandwagon I want to be on. So then I shifted focus. Instead of doing the poor independent filmmaker in New York City thing to, I wanted to, be making my own Rush Hours. So then I decided to start pushing for music videos, and it took about 3 or 4 years after hitting the streets. I would run into people like Puffy and Busta, all in New York City, and I was like, no, I'm using my guy Benny, I'm using my fam over here, and I was getting shut down everywhere we went. And so while I was still pushing on the music video front in New York City as an aspiring filmmaker, one of my friends said, hey, listen, do you want to shoot this tour called Tattoo the Earth in 2000? And I'm like, sure. I had a Canon XL1. I just shot a movie with it called the Hip Hop Witch with Eminem in it, and Praz from the Fugees, and Rod Digger. Eminem made a cameo, and a bunch of other rappers. But I'm like, okay, those are, it was a spoof. It was okay. It was just another film that I sold. But music videos is what I want to do. So I figured I'll jump on this tour and see if I can meet some people. And the tour, it was like, had Slipknot, Slayer, Sepultura, Seven Dust, Hatebreed, Mudvayne, all these bands. And I was so far removed from metal at that point in time because it was just a different time from the time I graduated high school in 86 to then being locked up and living my crazy life and doing movies. Music really wasn't such a big part of it. Yeah. So then here I am suddenly in, I think Portland, Oregon was the first date, and I'm meeting all these bands. Jamie Josta was one of the first guys that came to me and said, yo, I heard you did a movie with Eminem. Yo, we gonna need to do something. And me and Josta became really, really good friends, as many of you guys know. And so after meeting Josta in 2000, it was finally in 2003, he said, listen, I got a video I want you to do. Mark Webb just did our first video for I Will Be Heard, and it's on the Triple X soundtrack for Rob Cohen. He goes, I got one called Perseverance. And that was 20 grand from Universal Republic, and it was the first official music I had ever done. And when it premiered on Headbangers Ball, it became like a little mini atomic explosion because the way I did it, shot on film, it was freezing cold. It was pure brutality. It was performance based, but it just hit home. And that signaled to a lot of people from Century Media, Roadrunner, everybody that, okay, there's a new guy here in town and he's about to do some stuff. And that's sort of what set me on my course in music videos, was that very first video, perseverance with Hatebreed.
So that's such a great tangent, really, because you just answered like a bunch of my questions there.
Well, yeah, no, yeah. What you're not going to get from me is, I picked up a camera when I was 11 years old, and I saw a butterfly, and I became inspired by the butterfly. Listen, I know that's a lot of people's stories, but it's just not mine. I mean, my career is built on survival, blood, sweat, and tears, passion, and a whole lot of rage and desire just to win. So, and in that, like, I'm very much didn't go to film school, but the films, I found a lot of solace in my crazy life growing up with movies and TV. So I loved pretty much anything from Tony Scott, Ridley Scott, Michael Mann, early Michael Mann, like those films, and even films, like Clint Eastwood's Every Which Way But Loose, and Hooper with Burt Reynolds, and this Escape from Alcatraz with Clint Eastwood. Like, there's certain movies that just hit home for me, and but visually, all the DPs and directors like Michael Mann, Tony Scott, Ridley Scott, they resonate with me. And to this day, a lot of the DPs I work with who are now all crushing it with feature. One just did Escape Plan 2. Yep. He also did Cutthroat City with RZA. One did House of Cards. One did Altered Carbon. All my guys are killing it. And they're like, yo, Dale, you're literally like you need to just drop now. Like, you need to just we're waiting for you, because I'm literally like the guy that's been doing it as long, if not longer, who just hasn't found that right thing, that first domino tip. And on that level, sure, I'm crushing it in the way I've been crushing it in my own little humble way, but the goal has always been to kill it with film and TV on a grandiose level, and that's what things are leading up to, like right now at this very, very moment. So
that's great, dude, and I completely sympathize with that. It's the same sort of trajectory on my end of things, because Ian and I partnered up years ago to start directing music videos together. We co-directed for years, and then we started to direct individually. Like, Ian's doing a lot of doc stuff now. He just did The Godfathers of Hardcore, which is
yeah.
It's a fucking killer movie, and that's doing really well. And then I sort of splintered off and started to do a lot of horror and sci-fi shit. And I just
I see your imagery, and I see pictures, and I like all the color. So as much as I can support and and do things like that, I always do. So
thanks, man. I really appreciate it. And it's that same grind where you're trying really hard to sort of break the genre that you have been established in, and trying to find, as you said, that right tipping point to get things rolling. But I wish you the most luck with that stuff, because if anything, you're one of the most driven motherfuckers that I've ever had an opportunity to watch.
Oh, thanks.
Hope you guys are enjoying the episode. I just want to take a quick break here to talk about our sponsors. First up, audible.com. I don't know if you guys are like I am. I have a lot of trouble sitting down and reading a book these days. Most of the time, it's at the end of the day, and I get about 5 pages into it and I fall asleep. I find that if I listen to an audiobook, however, I can get through it a lot quicker, and I stay awake a lot longer. And so I reached out, turned to Audible, and started to download a couple of books. And the one I'm reading right now is Stephen King's Dr. Sleep, which, if you don't know what it is, it's the sequel to The Shining. And the book is fantastic. I've been talking about it over the past couple of episodes. It picks up right after the events of The Shining and catches up with Danny still dealing with these special powers that he has. And it turns out there are a lot of other people out there that have the same powers that he does. So it's a super cool, super creepy book. And we made a deal with Audible as a sponsor that if you guys sign up for a 30-day free trial, so 30 days for free, everybody that signs up, we get about $15, which is really cool. So definitely follow the link below. You can go to, it's audibletrial.com/inlovewiththeprocess. So that's audibletrial.com/inlovewiththeprocess. They have a huge selection of books, and when you sign up for the 30-day free trial, you also get a credit for a book, so you can actually try the whole thing out. You could download it to your phone, you can download it to your computer. I've got mine on my phone, and then I use my noise-canceling headphones, and it really sort of puts me into the world of Stephen King. So please help us out, support the show. Go to audible.com. Actually, go to audibletrial.com /inlovewiththeprocess. Our second sponsor, longtime running sponsor for the show, is Rule Boston Camera. If you are on the East Coast, like Maine, New Hampshire, Boston, even New York, and you're looking to rent some of the best film and TV equipment, definitely check out Rule Boston Camera. They are my favorite rental house in the Northeast. And even if you haven't rented gear yet, and if you're a young filmmaker and you're just feeling a little timid about renting gear, write them an email. Go hang out with them. They teach you how to use stuff. You get your hands on really cutting edge technology. All that shit that you guys are liking on Instagram, these guys have in their shop, and you're allowed to go in and play with it. So definitely check them out. Go to rulebostoncamera.com. And that's all for this episode, but I want to get us right back in with Dale because it is a fascinating conversation. You know what? Let me just dig in a little bit deeper here, and I kind of want to go back because I'm fascinated with how people get started, and I'm fascinated with jobs that folks take. Like early on, I used to be like an airplane mechanic. I was a car mechanic. I used to do that stuff, and I decided that I wanted to do film. And I decided that every day that I don't have to use my hands for work, I have to earn that time. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it ultimately puts this sort of anxiety that I've had for, 18, 19 years. Like, what the fuck am I doing today?
Right.
But I'm curious about, and I'm fascinated about the male stripping stuff. Like, I've heard rumors that the women in those places are fucking crazy. That must have been like a wild fucking period of time, right?
Dude, it was 3 years of just 3 to 4 years of just stuff. I mean, Magic Mike is tame compared to some of the things that it was literally just fun. So my first year, 2 years, I was part of this whole thing at the Palace called the Male Encounter, where they had featured dancers, and you had the hosts, the podium dancers, and eventually, you get to hear about how, if you go out on your own and you just join a firm, an agency, you can make a lot more money. So ultimately, it was cool. I used to literally I would leave from Framingham, Massachusetts, and get in my brand new Trans Am. I was 19 years old. I had a brand new Trans Am. Wow. GTA, T-tops, black on black with honeycomb rims, herringbone chain. I would be blasting. I would go from Route 9 to the Mass Pike to 95, and I would be blasting the Cult, like She Sells Sanctuary, that CD or that cassette, and this Firewoman. Like I was into the Cult back then, and Van Halen, of course, Whitesnake. So I was blasting that stuff my whole way up. It was like it would normally be about 90 minutes, but I'd try to do that drive in 40 minutes. So I was going 100 miles an hour the whole way. And I get there, meet girls, hang out, get ready. So it was always, my life then was working out, staying tan, and meeting girls. That was my life, and making money. So, but eventually, you hear about these stories about making more money on the side. So, and they would never let you do both. So I said, let me just leave the Male Encounter and joined this agency. I think it was called Dances Unlimited out of Lynn. Uh-huh. You know that old saying in Lynn, the City of Sin.
City of Sin, yeah.
yeah, it's the City of Sin. You never come out the way you go in, kind of whatever it was. So then I just started I used to go to BU, BC. I would go to, women's bachelorette parties. And I mean, we'll keep this PG because I don't want to get X-rated with you. But there's a lot of things. A lot of things that you see in movies, like one story without getting graphic, the woman who's getting married the next day with a guy for the next, 50, 60 years, literally would just did anything I wanted to do. Like it just crazy. I mean, literally things that you write about in movies, like, would people believe this? They actually do happen. So it was fun. It was a great time. Yeah, it was a fun time.
Fucking cool, man. Well, let's get back into the music video stuff. So then you started doing a lot of metal and hardcore stuff, and then you made the transition into hip hop. And from my own experience, just getting production insurance for music videos, the first question that an insurance company will ask you is it a hip hop video?
Right.
And I've seen your lineup of videos you've done. You must have some insane location stories working with these guys. What's the strangest video that you've done for hip hop?
Let me see. I don't know that strangest is the right word, but one of the oddest and most difficult, I was doing a video. I was scheduled to do 2 videos back to back, one for Lil Wayne and then one for Lil Wayne and Birdman. One of them we ended up doing, it's called I Run This Shit. It was Birdman, Lil Wayne. Uh-huh. And we're going to do a Millie, which was one of Wayne's biggest hits at that point in time, the next day. So what would happen was we were in Atlanta, and I had already worked with Birdman and Lil Wayne a bunch of times before. Always been cool. Never any issue. And I'd even seen them the day before this shoot, and we were cool. We were just going over the final storyboard. So after my crew and I were at the mansion that he selected for our first setup for 3 hours, getting, running cable, distro, generator, gear, models going through wardrobe and makeup and glam and blah, 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 crafty, all that stuff. He shows up on his bus with Slim, and he walks off the bus. And the first thing he said to me was, I don't want any shit out of you today. And I was like,
what?
It's like me seeing you tomorrow after this conversation. That's the first thing he said to me. It's like, where do they even come from? Like, what is that? Like, but having been locked up for many, many years, many times with black guys and just people running their mouths, it's like, and you just let shit go off the shoulder. Yeah. So I was like, I didn't take offense to it. I was like, okay, whatever. He's just whatever. Whether you wanted to say it to be big in front of somebody, I didn't care, because I was going to make $40,000 that day between my director fee and production fee. It was all about money, and I can give a crap about the other shit. So, wow. So sure enough, 5 minutes later, we actually walk around the corner. We get to the house, to the mansion, and he looks up and he says, wait, that's not the mansion I wanted. I'm like, I'm shaking my head, and the commissioner's there too. And that was an immediate signal of, okay, wait, this is going to be a bad day, just because, like, it just means immediately when he said that is like overages, bullshit, time, fighting, blah, blah. So I said, yeah, I asked my ID to pull up the email, and that's the one he picked. And he goes, well, somebody made a mistake because that's not what I want. I'm not going to shoot the video. Right. And so my commissioner is like, and meanwhile, this video, the budget for this video is like $240,000, and the one for the next day is going to be $150,000. So anyway, so the commissioner says, the commissioner, by the way, who has worked with Cash Money for about 10 years and has made an insane amount of money with them. Yeah. Obviously, he hires me to come in and do the video, but I already know he's going to side with them. No matter what happens, he's going to side with them, because he gets a lot of side money with them. So I said, okay, you know what we're going to do? Let's just get a new mansion, because I knew no matter what, there was something behind this really bad situation. I didn't know what it was, and I didn't have time to try to figure it out, and it just didn't matter. I just said this: rather than making $40,000, I'll make $25,000 between the overages and between the new place. So I was like, okay, fine. Because remember, think about where I told you I came from and where I started. Making $25,000 a day versus $40,000, it doesn't, like, it's money. I'm still winning. So I said, let me just put this negative energy behind me, get a new mansion, and go and start anew. So we did. We found another mansion. We lost a lot of time, lost a lot of daylight, and so we finally get there. And then I figured we maybe the worst is behind and we're moving forward. No, that would be too much in wishful thinking. So we finally land, get there, everything's being set up, and we had a driving shot that was set up, and we only had about maybe 45 minutes to an hour left of sunlight. And I told my guy to go get baby out of his motorhome to come to the driving shot. Mm-hmm. And it's Atlanta, so even just walking to the motorhome is, it's 3 minutes. It's not like it's just like 2 feet away. So he comes back to me 10 minutes later saying, baby wants to talk to you on the bus. I'm shaking my head. What can they possibly want to talk about when I said we have to get this driving shot done? The sun's going down now. So I go walk out of the bus and on the bus, the commissioner's there, security's there, and we're talking. He's like, so what's going on? And of course I'm looking at him like, okay, what's going on? So what's going on is we only have 40 minutes of sun left and we need to get you in the car to the driving shot. He said to me, well, I want to have lunch with my son first. And I'm like, all right, so if you want to have lunch with your son first, we're going to lose the shot. And then he reaches out with his hand and he sort of points with his two fingers on my shoulder. He says, why are you trying to fuck up my video? And the second he touched me, I took my double fist, I launched into his body, and security jumped in. The commissioner jumped in. The bus started shaking. They were screaming, Dale Rage, get off the bus, get off the bus. And so there was like this moment of just like, and my AD was there. He's like, yo, I ain't ever see anybody go a baby like that. And I'm like, this is just stupid. Like, this is literally stupid, right? So we didn't get the driving shot. And at the same time, when I'm leaving the bus, leaving that area, unbeknownst to me, one of my crew was backing up one of the grip trucks and it smashed into his motorhome. And he thought somehow that was me in a car trying to ram his motorhome. It was like really bizarre. It was like totally just craziness. Weird. So I go back in the house, getting ready for what would be the next shot. And my DP, Joe Labisi, and I were going over the shot. And so we have lunch and we come back, we start shooting again. Everybody calm down, baby on baby's side. And we're shooting. And he was being a bitch all day after that. And I mean, we're cool now. I mean, we're cool after all these years. But at that point in time, like he was just being what he was being. So now we're filming inside the mansion and Lil Wayne's late. Lil Wayne finally shows up. And this is when he was heavy into his whole syrup stuff he was drinking, codeine. And so we're in the living room doing the shot. And behind me to my right is the commissioner, who's the guy I told you who's been working with the guys for about 10 years. As Wayne's performing, he's sitting down. It looks a little dreary-eyed because he's all high on his shit. So the guy behind me is yelling, "Wayne, get up! Wayne, get up!" Like screaming over the playback and over everything else. Wayne somehow thinks that's me telling him how to perform. And even though that still would be in my line of duty to do, it wasn't me. He somehow thought it was me. He stood up. He said, "Everybody cut. I don't want any white motherfuckers." Right. And that second he said those words, me and my whole crew, white and black, and Joe, we just left set. It was like, fuck you. Get the fuck out of here with that dumb shit. So we all left. We just literally walking off set. Slim comes out. His other managers come out and say, "No, we apologize. It won't happen again, blah, blah." So we ended up going back and finishing the video. Baby was a bitch all day long, and it took forever to do. We got the overtime covered, and then so that day's over. The next day, getting ready to shoot the Millie, we're all there and at the studio, a different location, get ready to start the day, waiting for them to show up on set. And Baby's bus pulls up, and he's down the road, and he says, and he called, and I'm there with the commissioner and some of my crew in the street, like waiting on the bus for him to show up so we can get started. So we all see the bus stopped on the end of the road. The commissioner gets a call, and it's Baby, and he says, "Yo, what's going on?" He's like, "Well, we're waiting for you guys. You guys are like 2 hours late." He says, "Well, I'm not gonna come in until Rage leaves set." I'm like, "So is it that? So you're not that? So you're that much of a bitch where you can't even be a man even after differences, even though they're all your differences, and just come do the job?" So I ended up leaving set, and they didn't do the video, and so that's one of the strangest, oddest hip hop videos I've done.
It's such a weird dealing with ego is such a fascinating challenge when you're doing this sort of stuff, and then half the time you're sort of trying to figure out like, why are you acting this way? Are you nervous about something? Like, have you heard something? Directing in general, that's one of the toughest parts of it, is just trying to figure out intention and ego.
Well, I just had this conversation literally 2 days ago, and again, I have to attribute, if I wasn't incarcerated and I didn't learn, if I wasn't in a cell that was built for 12 people, if I wasn't in a cell with 24 people, where the ratio from blacks to whites was 22 to 1.5, and learning what I like, if I didn't go through experience as a 17, 18, 19-year-old kid, I don't think I'd have the depth to understand it. But when you're in that situation, in that scenario, you learn, I now look at it like this. If I'm dealing with dum-dums or ignorant people who have a lot of money want me to do the video, I can deal with ignorance all day because they're still paying me. Like I can deal with ignorance. My ego's not that big. You're paying me. I don't care. Like and it's not going to come. It's not going to, and no one's going to start swinging because they know it's going to be a fight. So it's just dumb shit. So like I can deal with that stuff. And again, this is the part of the job over the thousands or so videos I've done where I've had few opportunities to really get, as hard as that may be to believe, I've had very few opportunities to really get my really good creative. I could actually probably list you about 10 videos I feel have been like my absolute creative vision, as opposed to all the other stuff that comes in. Whether it's rock videos too. I mean, I've worked with Fall Out Boy, I've worked with a bunch of different bands, and everybody wants to have their influence, and you know what it's like. Yeah. And I will always defer. I didn't write the song. It wasn't my experience. I don't see 7 red balloons and a yellow balloon in a crow with feet, with human feet, as really being the vision. But if you do, then we'll make it happen. You know what I'm trying to say? Because sometimes people just have these off the wall ideas, and it is what it is. But for the most part, managing egos. And not just the egos for the artist, but the egos for the label people involved. Not just the manager, not just the promo guy at radio, but the video commissioner who 9 times out of 10 is just a money manager who's looking to hire their people so they can make money, and they want a Gucci handbag to fall off the cart that they can claim as lost and damaged. Like so many stories, the payola part of it. I've had to deal with that stuff, and to know that I've never played the payola game and dealt with those commissioners that wanted the $5,000 cash in the bag handoff, which happens all the time. Yep. To know that I've actually managed to have this humble success that I've had for as long as I have, it's like, I mean, hats off to myself in that regard, because I never played those games, and I think I lasted a lot longer than a lot of those commissioners would want me to last, because I literally had people like Jim Jones, who I helped go from being a very just street rapper and managing Dipset stuff to helping him go to a major label with videos that I've done with him, from Ballin' and videos like Pop Champagne, to him fighting for me at his first big label meeting roundtable with 9 executives, with the video commissioner saying, "Oh, we know you've done some stuff before, but we've got people we work with." He put his feet on the table and said, "No, I only do my videos with Rage." Like things like that happen. And DJ Drama, when DJ Drama was coming out of Atlanta, he was managed by my boy Lada Darkman, who's affiliated with the Wu-Tang Clan. I've known that guy since the mid 90s. And so this is now 2004, 5 or 6. And he knows me. We're like family. And when he's at Atlantic Records and they're telling him, "No, work with these 1 or 2 guys," he's like, "Well, I don't work with Rage." They said, "No, he's difficult to work with." He's like, "Okay, now I know you guys are fucked up because you guys are telling lies about somebody I know is my brother." He fought. I did Drama's first couple of big videos. So like that shit happens all the time. I was supposed to do, you make me get on this tangent and I'm recalling this stuff. I was supposed to do videos for Rihanna on her second album, because Carl and Evan, who are in upstate New York, who had signed her, said, "We like what she's done with her friend, her main director for a number of years." They said, "We want you to do her first 3 videos of her next album." There was a female commissioner at Universal Republic that put the block on me after 3 months of legwork. Yeah, no, but like they can go on. I was supposed to do, no, I tell you, I wasn't supposed to do. I was very much in the lead for doing Justin Bieber's Baby, Baby, Baby before they ended up giving it to Ray K. And like stories upon stories upon stories, just because you don't fall in a certain circle, you don't have the right last name, or you're not, it's that stuff. But again, being the defiant, working class, blue collar, never say die, relentless motherfucker like I am, I still managed to be in all those rooms working with most of those big artists, and and again, finding the success that was supposed to be my way. Well,
it's good stuff, man, because a majority of my listeners are young filmmakers and young folks that are trying to get in the business, and a lot of them don't realize how these things work. And I remember when Ian and I started to get some success, and we did the Meshuggah video, which really sort of elevated us into a whole new point. We started to get
great
calls.
Video. I love that video.
Thank you, brother. And we started to get calls from commissioners, and I didn't know what the fuck a commissioner was. And so we started to get these calls from folks that were like, we would love to rep you and push you out to all these different artists and stuff. And you're like, fuck yeah, all right. And how would you like to write for Ozzy Osbourne's new video? And how would you like to do all this sort of stuff? And being a young filmmaker, you're like, fuck yeah. And then you put your all into it. You're like, okay, I got to write a fucking treatment. I got to do all this sort of shit. And then you realize ultimately that these commissioners are just out there roping in as many people as they possibly can so they can throw a fucking stack of treatments in front of an artist who doesn't even, like, they're usually like on a break from their tour, or they're on the back of the bus and they don't even want to go through this shit. And they're like, who do we fucking know? Who do we want to hire? I don't want to read through all these fucking treatments. And so it took me a while, and there's a few commissioners that we were working with. It took me a while to realize, like, fuck this, man, because I'm busting my ass and then I'm just a commodity. And then the funny thing is that we would get a call from a commissioner and go, hey, the budget for this video is, I don't know, $45,000. And then we'd get the call from the band directly, and they're like, hey, we have like 60 grand. And you're just like, you're like, how the fuck does that happen? And where do, like, what?
Yeah, it's very much a shady, again, video commissioners are the title alone is also, very, inappropriate, I should say, because it implies that somebody actually, I think the definition of commissioner implies some integrity, but there's no integrity in, I should say there's very few that I've met and dealt with in the past that actually care about the artist, care about the job in the production company. Because most commissioners, they only care about kissing ass to the artist they're working with so they can keep managing the budgets. Now, if you were a music video commissioner at a label, you look at that as like, okay, well, I'm going to have $8 million worth of money to spend this year. Who do I want to give it to?
Yeah.
Like, that's another way to look at it. And that's the way most of them do look at it.
Yeah.
And they had friends that have production companies who they want to give the lion's share to. And they've got directors that they work on, that they have, that they want to give the lion's share to. And then, of course, in there is payola, there's trips, there's massages, there's first class tickets, there's, high-end car rentals, there's all kind of shady stuff. And so all you new guys and new girls out there, and unfortunately for you, like, the glorious days of music video, the big budget days are gone, but there's still a way to, if you still aspire to the music videos, there's still some labels that will spend 50, 60, 80, maybe 100 grand on a video. Anything beyond that, it's being paid for by different brands, not the labels themselves, because labels don't have the money. They just don't have the money in cash flow like they used to, because no one's buying physical product. It's all digital.
Yeah.
So, commissioners are by and large just shady people. And I've had it out with many of, I could care if somebody wanted to come on set and have an issue, I would scream on them. I don't care. My rep would be like, what are you doing? I don't give a fuck. I'm a grown ass man who should have been dead 5 times, spent time locked up in prison. Like, I don't give a fuck about what this woman or this dude saying to me about how to shoot a guy that's small from low to high. Like, shut up, shut the fuck up. So, again, like, I've spoken at the New York Film Academy, I've spoken at NYU music video classes, inspired many, and actually some of those students have worked with me on my sets. But what you're not going to get from me is just some mumbo jumbo artistic perspective. I mean, we can get into those things on a video by video, aesthetic, narrative basis kind of a thing. But overall, and sort of in this forum, talking about the business of music videos or filmmaking.
Yeah.
When these topics, I'm just going to keep it as real as I can.
Good, man. Because there's so much of that other content out there. And I feel like there's a lot of fluff content, is how I would put it, and it's basically PR for whoever the fuck is making that piece.
Right.
And there isn't enough conversation in, like, how does the business actually work? How do you survive in the business? I mean, music video stuff, Ian and I thought we were going to have a career as music video directors. And I remember getting into it. And I think we talked to, like, Romanek or somebody. And they're like, I can't believe you're getting into it now. Essentially, your budget for your videos is what our take was. And this was back, like mid-2000s, early 2000s. So Now it's fucking nuts. Like we barely do videos anymore, and we usually do stuff for folks that we know and people that we like to hang out with because there's like zero cash in it at this point. You're sort of looking at it going like, how the fuck do I make a living? And that was actually my next question to you. Are you still doing a lot of music videos, right?
Yeah, like I gotta go back and do one for this rapper named Little Baby with this guy named Gabe. I got to do one for Tory Lanez, and because again having just a big body of work and people know how to reach me directly. They say, listen, Rage, we get 20, we got 30, we got 40, we got 50. We have to do it in Miami, Texas, wherever. I mean, Florida called me about 2 months ago. He has a protege artist. I was down there for a week. We did 4 videos, made my money, did the videos, are happy. So like people just call me direct. So I'll do them for as long as I need to, because in addition to, so having done this for as long as I have and getting to know as many people as I have, again, you're going to always have your detractors and you have your people that support you. And they're like working with you. And one general note that I will put out there to everybody is you got to be you. Don't try to kiss ass. I mean, you can, if that works for you, and it has worked for some people. But for the most part, I found that just being me is a much better way to live my life. And it's you don't have to keep up with any fronts, any floss, any fake shit. Like just being you is always going to be the best is going to result in the best possible overall goal and situation. So that said, I mean, people like, I helped Yo Gotti get his career going with videos, and so many other artists. I mean, I could name drop. I mean, I did Gucci Mane videos in Atlanta when he was having gunfights with Jeezy in the streets when Jeezy was a snowman. Like, there's so much. It's funny because I'm not even the most hip hop guy in the world, but just because I've done what I've done and I've been where I've been, it's like I can still draw back on those memories. And I remember when Pitbull was just wearing t-shirts and jeans before he became Mr. 305, let alone, Mr. Worldwide. So when you get this history and background, there's enough people that know you that's going to call you to keep the work coming. And when I can't do videos, I just did a video with the drummer for One Direction. He's got a new band called Everride, and I'm bringing up. I got a few young directors that I work with, and I had John do this one video. We shot at the JBL Experience Center in Northridge, California, and great video. It's like what, 15, 20 grand. Made my money. Everybody's happy, and it's great. So if it's not a job that I particularly want to do, then I won't do it. Like I did a few videos with Scott Weiland before he passed away when he was in a band called Art of Anarchy. And I did those videos. I mean, we actually had some nice budget for those. And I just did one with the same band who had Scott Stapp replace Scott Weiland. And even though it wasn't a big budget, I did a video with Scott Stapp. And now I'm going to be doing some stuff for a solo album coming up in 2019. So you just keep building on your resume and reputation. I mean, I'm not Mark Romanek. I'm not somebody, Nigel Dick. I mean, those guys will always get the calls for certain jobs. I mean, I've done some stuff with 11-7, which is one of the few active rock labels. Tommy Vex is one of my good friends who the singer of Bad Wolves. Yeah. They got the remake of the Cranberry Zombie, and he wanted me to do his second single, which was a great song called Remember When. And we went right down to the creative, but the guy that owns the label is good friends with Wayne Isham. And of course, Wayne's an OG video director. Why he's still directing videos after all what he's done, who knows why? But he gave it to Wayne. So I mean, everybody gets that thing. No matter how big or small you are, you're always not going to get a job. So the one point of contention is I don't feel like you don't get the job because someone else is better for it. 9 times out of 10, it's because of some other reason. And from my experience.
Okay, all right. And let me ask you this too. Like, let's talk a bit about the creative aspect for stuff. What is your process? Do you write treatments for these things? Do you come up with ideas? Do you like to talk to the bands first, or do you just come up with straight ideas on your own? Like, how do you actually come up with your shit?
Typically, 9 times out of 10 with a label, they'll send you the brief, they'll send you the song, budget range, the schedule it needs to be filmed in, the time frame needs to be filmed in, and usually some sort of loose. Some they're very specific creative, and some are just very ambiguous. Something's never been done before, but it's going to be amazing. Like, okay, what is that as a creative? So some are very ambiguous, and some are more to the point. So, my first my first maybe 5 years, I wrote a lot of treatments. And this is when treatments were a lot more text heavy, word heavy than visual heavy. Now videos treatments are 90% visual and a couple of words. I'm like, wow. And then I've also discovered that most people can't deliver what they're promising visually. All that aside, the last 4, 5, 6 years, unless it's for a major artist, I won't write it. I'll just have one of my up and comers. I'll say, this is take these visuals, use this one line, and then elaborate. And if we get it, we get it. If we don't, we don't. And that's the way I handle treatments now, because after many years of having success, and then as you get older in life and you accumulate things like a spouse and a house and cars and insurances, you need to really divide your time. And so I can't spend all day, especially now when they go out to 50 directors as opposed to just 3. I can spend all day laboring over finding visual references and terminology, and then put it together in a PDF and then shrink it down, and then have them just say, okay, oh yeah, we didn't get to see it, so we didn't. I can't. So I have young up and comers who are eager, that have the eye of the tiger, that want to spend, and plus these younger kids can do it a lot faster than I could anyway. So much like a lot of stuff on set, like I'm not going to spend all day. If I can't figure out how to download this particular new Alexa firmware, then the newbie who's 18 years old can do it in like 3 minutes. So like, I'll let them do that. Like I know what my strengths are, and my strengths for me are like moving mountains and problem solving in chaos, rather than something as simple as, finding the latest firmware for it. Like it'll take me 6 hours,
Well, all right. So that leads to my next question. So as a director, what is your favorite, like when is your Zen moment as a director? Like what's your favorite, when is your favorite moment directing? So
it's always in the moment, and I'll use this little story as a best case example. I was meeting with Lakeshore Entertainment, Gary Lucchese and Bob McMahon, who are the two guys that are running Lakeshore forever. Mm-hmm. Bob's a business guy. Gary's a business guy, and Bob's a creative guy. And he says, we traditionally don't like music video directors, but something about your reel really spoke to me. And of course, okay, pause this. So I mean, not pause the recording, but pause that thought. When you're meeting with people in this business, especially Hollywood, when they start telling you stories, you got to start to, smell the bullshit monitor. Like, is this a real statement or is this cliche? What is this? But with Bob, real quick, he's a straight shooter, and he said, listen, because of your reel, this, and these moments really rung out to me. And I said, wow, that blew my mind, because those moments he picked out were moments that weren't in any script or any treatment. They were moments that happened in the moment. And I said, wow. He goes, what's your process? He goes, did you go to film school? I said, no, I didn't go to film school. I learned on set, thousands of hours, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, and I explained, I said, so that moment there and that moment there and that moment there, I said, they happened in the moment. And he said, do you know what that's called? And I'm like, what's it called? He says, it's called painting. I was like, that's exactly what I feel when I got that camera handheld and I'm doing that thing. That's what it feels like. So when you ask me when my Zen moment, that's like, those are the moments when I'm on set with my crew, with my team, making it happen.
Great, man. That's a great moment. I felt the same way. And I've talked about this on previous episodes, but when I started, I went to New York Film Academy years ago, back in '99, and they were teaching us how to shoot on old black and white 16, and you're doing Steenbeck cutting and you're doing all that kind of shit. And my history, I always wanted to be a comic book artist, so I'm like a storyboard, sort of visual, fucking weird dude. When I did my first flick, I was very Hitchcock influenced, and I went through and I boarded out the whole fucking thing. So I storyboarded the whole movie, and I went and I produced it and I shot it so efficiently that it was like shot, bang, bang, bang. And then I got into the edit room and I fucking cut it like bang, bang, bang. Now at that time, you're sharing an edit room with probably 30 or 40 other filmmakers, and they had a giant Steenbeck edit bay, and you're sort of down in the basement working. And I remember being done with mine really quick. And it was sort of like punch by numbers, like, okay, here is the shots, I'll cut this, I'll cut that. And then I was floating around watching my fellow filmmakers work on stuff, and a lot of them had different process than I did. And a lot of them were just not even generically, but flying by the seat of their pants and really sort of finding things. And their whole edit process, their whole assembly process of it was a really exciting thing. Like they'd have their ups and their downs, and like their highs were really fucking high. And I remember after I went through that first, it was one of the best lessons I learned. I remember going like, fuck, okay, it's great to be prepared. And you should do your homework and always be ready on set just in case you show up and everybody's drunk or everybody's hungover and you're like, all right, just follow the storyboards and we'll get our way through the day. But you have to leave it open for what you're talking about, which is this painting. It's a good term for that, which is this painting thing, because there's excitement. And then if you're staying energized through all of your different steps, like for me, the prep is fucking exciting. Like getting something and sort of, there is no budget at that point. You can plan everything out. You can draw it out. You can have fucking whatever you want on the page. And then you go through the physical act of producing, which is the reality of shit. Where you're like, okay, what can I afford? What are my restrictions? How many people am I getting? How many days do I get the actor? And that tends to sort of iron out that excitement. So if you can leave your day open or actually plan for times where you can go, okay, so let's just see what happens here. You get fucking excited again. Because then after you finish your shoot, you're like, oh, that was miserable. And okay, give me a couple days off and I'm going to get in the edit room. And then you're back in the edit room again. And it's a whole other fucking process where it's like, okay, here's a bin full of shit that I have. How do I make it?
You know, for me, actually, because the way I came up with, and the term for it is shoot to edit, which benefits me to this day because a lot of these newer filmmakers come up in the world of HD and they think I can film forever.
Oh yeah, dude, huge difference.
Yes, so shooting to edit on 5 rolls of film, 6 rolls of film of 16, or 5 rolls of 35, whatever it was. You know, so being on set was certainly like my favorite, more zen moments, but also driving to set, knowing I'm gonna go shoot today. Like it's like that's my saying. Going up, pulling up. Crafty's there, crew's pulling in. My team's there. Mm-hmm. We have a mission to accomplish. Like I just had to go. I literally was in the city, New York. 2 days ago, I had to go to meet with a guy named Matthew Labatique, who I'm sure you know, cinematographer, done everything from Iron Man 1 and 2 to Gothica to The Fountain to Inside Man to just, you name it, because he's interested in shooting this project I have going on. But I had to go meet him just on the offset of She's Gotta Have It, which a lot of my old school crew were working on.
Yeah.
And so, but even pulling up to that corner where they were shooting, seeing the trucks and the crew, like the walkies, the chair, those are my most favorite moments of pulling up the set, knowing that you're about to just go play, go have fun. Even though it's work and it's a job you're gonna do, I love this work. We can't get a better job.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, dude. It's like, and you know what I really love, which is a very rare thing. I actually love. And this is one of the reasons why I like chatting with you here, man, is I love actually having relationships with other directors, because when I have the rare chance to go on set and watch another director work, that is such a pure, special moment that a lot of the time you don't get. When a few years ago, Ian and I got to hang out with the Farley brothers while they were directing their movies, and they welcomed us onto the sets and gave us headsets and shit. And it's such an amazing learning experience. And I'm fully convinced that this business is better suited as an apprenticeship business than it is anything else, because you learn the most when you're actually there and you're actually witnessing, or you're doing it yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've actually had I've had PAs that will work for me for 2 days and said, we've learned more in 2 days than we did in 4 years of film school.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, dude.
I had a PA that was so driven. He actually drove on his own dime from New Jersey all the way to Atlanta to work on some videos I was doing, and drive all the way back up. The guy's only about 5'6", 5'7", a heart of a lion. And at one point, I had to run in. We were in the city doing some pickups. Me and Kim went inside the building, and he was outside. I come outside 10 minutes later, and he's literally standing toe to toe with a guy who was a black guy who was 8 feet tall, and he's ready to throw down. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, well, he wanted to take your parking spot. And I'm like, wow. So this guy's it was so now that same PA is now doing, he runs a production office for Blue Bloods.
Oh, cool.
And to this day, to this day, I've got so many people that I've helped bring up. I tons of video directors and DPs. Hannah Lux Davis, who does all Ariana Grande stuff now. A lot of the people like that do Kevin Boston that does the stuff with Riveting, and Jay Tozian, who just produced the Tekashi 6ix9ine video with Nicki. Like all these guys and girls. Jamie Bosworth, who does actually now, she runs a company for or the productions for Colin Tilley. All these people that I screamed at, or they were going to cry and quit the business. I've helped in this business and keep them working. Now, some won't even mention my name because they hate my aggressive style, but I don't care because their success is certainly there. Is my DNA runs through it. I'm happy to say that I was a part of it. So whether they're working on films, TV, music videos, commercials, whatever it is, I will. Not everybody is deserving of your time or my time, but if there's something in them that you see that we feel like, okay, you know what, let's just take that little extra moment to help push them along and nudge them along, then that's what we do as filmmakers giving back, and I tell all of them, I said, I don't, and I get hit up on DMs all the time with up and comers saying, how do you do this? And I said, I didn't have a me. There was no me. I was literally either fall back and die or become a filmmaker. Like that was it. There was nothing like working for my dad's firm or going back to school for 6 years or getting a job on what. Like it was film or die, That's kind of the reason why I started to do this podcast is that I've always said the same thing. Like I've always wished that I had a mentor. And I think a lot of this business, everybody's really closed off and they're concerned of like, oh, well, he might steal my style or he might steal. And it's like, fuck, dude, your style is what your style is at that fucking moment. So if you're bringing somebody in and you're so wrapped up in like how you shoot, what frames per second you shoot at, or what color LUTs you're using, then Jesus, you're in the fucking business for the wrong reason, dude. And if you... Yeah, and you know what? Everything's been done. Every story's been told. Yeah. Every shot's been done before. It's like, all you can do is make it new for you. And like, I used to get like, when Lady Gaga blew up, I was unimpressed. And listen, as an entertainer, she crushed it. She killed it. She's doing it. She's still doing it. But while I was unimpressed, not because of what she was, not because of what she sounded like, but because I had already seen it before. I had seen it. And she completely ripped off and stole the persona of Dale Bozio from Missing Persons. And have you ever seen Missing Persons? No, I haven't. So while we're on right now, just go to if you have another device, type in Missing Persons on YouTube, and you're gonna see exactly what I'm talking about. And because the longer you live, the more stuff you see. So if somebody's 10 years old, they don't know nothing about Soulja Boy or Jim Jones or Meshuggah. They only know what is out there right now. And even though that new band may be doing a complete rip off of Meshuggah guitar riff, that kid 10 years old is like, wow, this is the best thing I've ever heard. But you're like, dude, I seen this thing 20 years ago. I've had that moment of clarity quite a bit. You just got to take things for what they are. And helping up and coming directors, for the most part, I'm very select. The people I let into my inner circle, just because you can't trust a lot of people. Yeah, you try to protect yourself as much as you can, but there was always going to be somebody that disguises themselves, he or she, and be really sneaky and conniving and do what they do. You can't let that deter you from still doing what you want to do and helping other people. So if they want to steal your look, try to steal a client, it just is what it is. You just got to keep things moving. So you can't live. It's like that old saying, if your fist is closed, nothing can get out, but nothing can also come in. So I just kind of live my life by that. That general rule. That's great, dude. That's great. Well, let me see, because we've been going for about an hour now. So is there anything that you want to plug right now? Is there anything that you got coming up? Well, if you look at my IG feed, I can't talk too much on it, but there's a project called Cracker, which Cracka, which is something I came up with. Actually, it was when I was first incarcerated in 1987 or 8 in Florida. There was a black guy that we had some beef over something, and maybe it was over him. Over a sleeve of tuna, a rack of cookies, over a game of spades. But he basically looked at me, and if I don't think he called me Cracker right from the pit of his stomach. is I want to kill you, cracker, something like that. And I think if he hadn't go to sentence in the next day or two, it would have been something that would have gone on, it would have been a bad situation. But I heard the term cracker back then. And when you hear the word cracker being spoken to you, you quickly realize that it is basically the white version of the word nigga, right? So, and so many white people don't really understand the context. They kind of know what it implies, but the anger and hate that is really underneath it, until you actually really being spoken in a certain way to you, you really just you can't comprehend what it's all about. So all these years later, like decades later, in this time of Trump and Charlottesville and social media, where I would see some of my friends I played high school with, I played hockey with, or baseball or soccer with, and we were 8, 9, 10 years old. Some of these kids who are now grown men my age, who, because they're not sort of in our industry of social of entertainment, a lot of them were late to social media and they don't understand social media etiquette and just things that you kind of not supposed to do. So when I would see one of my old school hockey mates post a meme of a Muslim getting fucked by a donkey and saying ha 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 ha, or seeing an unarmed black man getting shot in the back by a cop, and saying, oh, yeah, he probably deserved it, or saying things like, well, my parents never owned slaves, so it doesn't matter to me. They deserve what they get. I'm like, in that absolute stupidity and blindness, I'm like, okay, if they see this stuff and they don't think it's wrong, and they've read about history, know about slavery, and don't think it's wrong, I mean, what could make in Charlottesville, the people getting mowed down, and the shit that Trump says, like, they don't think it's wrong or divisive or racist. They don't think that's wrong. What in the hell could make these people see that it is?
Right.
And then it clicked. I said, what if it was their 9-year-old daughter getting ass fucked by a bunch of black slave masters? Or what if there was a 92-year-old grandmother, sweet as pie, getting clapped in the front of the face with like a wooden stick or a bat? I said, that might do it. And sure enough. So my concept for what was going to be a short film called Cracker was going to be called The Enslaved. I was going to try to be cool and hip with it, called The Enslaved, and kind of keep the message, keep the whole idea, flipping the races, hidden for the first 4 or 5 minutes. I said, no. It needs to be called Cracker. It needs to be right in your face. We need to see white people being hung, and sure enough, I ended up shooting a sizzle for it, and now it's on fire with a bunch of networks and showrunners, and I got Riz on board. Like, I got a lot of great things happening because so that's the thing I want to plug more than anything, and that's why I was meeting with that famous DP in town the other day, and I've got a few other film projects that have been put in the back burner because of one thing or another. But we all have these stories of filmmakers about this one project or second or third project that were so close to getting done and financing at a studio, but one thing led to another and it just didn't happen. And you're in this game long enough, you will have those things that happen. And because I'm not that kind of filmmaker that loves to schmooze at dinners and events and go to the festivals to schmooze and talk to the buyers and talk to the film financier, it's just not who I am. It's not in my DNA to be that way. I've always been that guy. This is my work. This is what I do. This is what I want to say. And I'd love for you to be a part of what I'm doing. But that's pretty much as far as it goes. Like, here it is. Do you want to do it? Yes or no? But beyond that, I just can't be chasing people down. I'd much rather wait for when the timing's right and when the people that are aligned with you and your universe and your creative vision and what you're doing all meet at the same time, which I feel like this finally is with Cracker, then everything else after this is done can fall into place and make it happen.
Well, that's awesome, man. And I wish you the best of luck on that. And then the last thing I would say is, there any advice that you would have for a young music video director getting in the business right now, in a current state of the business right now? What would be the one thing you would tell them?
Go online and scan through any Hatebreed song in the lyrics. That was kind of a joke. No.
I was waiting for that.
Hatebreed lyrics are just absolutely inspiring in so many ways. I mean, they're just like, if you stand for nothing, you fall for anything. Just like, live for this. I mean, this is now. So new filmmakers out there, everybody when I was coming up and just after me, when Mike was coming up in those schools of people, of artists and filmmakers, it was before the explosion of HD and mobile phones and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and all that stuff. So there was a separation, and to become a filmmaker, you needed to do a lot of work to get a camera, to get the film, to get to the lab, to get a process, to get a digibeta, and to get a transcode, all this stuff, to get a DAT tape, all this stuff we had to do where you can just do with one device. And anybody under 25 feels like if they've got a Ronin, they've got a drone, they've got their digital camera, everybody feels like, yes, I'm a creative director, I'm a filmmaker, I've got what it takes. And maybe you are. Maybe you're that one of the next 100,000 that will be the one that penetrates and gets through. That being said, after you go get your drone and your Ronin, and your digital camera in all the latest software, and you're doing the local rapper or local band or local commercial, all that stuff, if you're cutting faster than guys or girls before you, and you're getting it done, you're adding music. You realize after about 6 months to a year that you're not making a lot of money, but then you look around and you realize you've hit a ceiling, and then you're literally surrounded by an ocean of other yous that have the exact same stuff. So my point in saying that is, someone like myself, someone like Mike, we've been doing this long enough where we've got a foundation of resources and people that look to us because they know they're going to get the job they want done well and on time. So try to look as excited as you are, and don't take this personally, because I know so many of you that just because you're posting pictures of lenses and the sunset and a bee that, in a macro lens. No, and I don't even say that. I don't even say that. Like I'm trying to balance this with inspiration, education. Like, just know that everything you're doing, everybody else can do. So how do you? And I don't have the answer, but you need to kind of take what I just said and know that coming from the town we came from, was we could stand out easier and show that we were good, because to get to the point of showing people what we could do, it was a lot harder to get to that point. Now it's so easy to go to that point. How do you make yourself stand out than if everybody has exact same stuff as you do? And this is in a time when we couldn't poke anybody, couldn't Google search anybody, we couldn't do any of that stuff. It was just knocking on doors and making phone calls and then getting on set and making it happen. So you guys have the world at your feet, but so does everybody else. So I guess you just need to try to implement some old school work ethic with the technology you have, and know that it's going to take a little more blood, sweat, and tears than maybe just being digitally engaged and social media engaged. I guess that's what I can sort of inspire into these guys and girls into thinking that they need to do, as opposed to just relying on technology itself.
It's a good point, dude. And it seems like, in general, what you're saying is that it takes more than just the gear. It's more than just the toys that you purchase. It's actually going out and talking to folks. It's actually creating relationships. It's actually doing the hard legwork.
Yeah, as you started to speak, it just dawned on me. And it's so easy to make good stuff nowadays. The lenses, the low light lenses. It's so easy to. One of the breakthroughs in our time, Mike, was I was one of the first people that actually have the Panasonic HVX camera, which was you don't understand, new guys and new girls out there, like to shoot 60 frames a second on your own camera without having to be film was like the most legendary epic moment of all time for me. It's like, wow. Like, I mean, do you remember that? Like, yes. You couldn't shoot slow motion if you didn't have film. Like it was like, how do you get that music video look without having, a big budget film camera? Like, you just couldn't. But then when that camera came out, that was groundbreaking. I took that camera on a Guns N' Roses tour in South America and shot the sizzle with it, and just see DJ Ashba with the Sparks and Axl Rose jumping up the stage in slow motion with a camera, with a card. That was mind blowing.
Yeah.
I know that sounds ancient to you guys, but I love those moments. Like to be a part of the technological advances that we've experienced is groundbreaking. To go from like landing on the moon to like where we are now, like it's crazy.
Oh, sure, dude. And it continues, like the speed at what that shit does. Like right now, the big one for me is lighting technology and the fact that these LED units, and you don't need a generator. It changes your whole day. You don't need a generator. You don't need a truck.
Or gels. You don't need gels. It's like it's crazy. It's like
it's.
But meanwhile, the 18-year-old kid in film school is they think like that's the way it's always been. It's crazy. But yeah, again, so to summarize what you were just basically repeated, yeah, it's you really have to be a lot more engaged as a human being and articulate your vision. And get to meet people in person as much as you can, rather than just relying on the camera, the lens, the software, or your Instagram page, because everybody has that exact same setup as you.